सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. We can chant the first two together. Page 12. Vedo nityamadiyatam tadhuditam karma swanushtiyatam tene shasya vidhiyatam apachitihi kamye madistyajyatam papokah paridhuyatam bhavasukhe दोषोऽनुसन्धीयताम् आत्मे चाव्यवसीयतां निजगृहात् तूर्णं विनिर्गम्यताम् सङ्गः सत्सु विधीयतां भगवतः भक्तिर्दृढा धीयताम् शान्त्यादिः परिचीयतां कर्माशु सन्त्यज्यताम् सद्विद्वानुपसृप्यतां प्रतिदिनं तत्पादुका सेव्यताम् ब्रह्मैकाक्षरमर्त्यतां श्रुतिशिरो वाक्यं समाकर्ण्यताम्. You can repeat after me. वाक्यार्थश्च विचार्यताम् श्रुतिशिरः पक्षः समाश्रीयताम् दुस्तर्कात् सुविरम्यतां श्रुतिमतस्तर्कोऽनुसन्धीयताम् श्रुतिमतस्तर्कोऽनुसन्धीयताम् ब्रह्मास्मीति विभाव्यतामहरहः स्मीति विभाव्यतामहरहः गर्वः परित्यज्यताम् देहेऽहं मतिरुज्यतां बुधजनैः देहेऽहं मतिरुज्यतां बुधजनैः वादः परित्यज्यताम् So we're seeing in Sadhana Panchakam the path to moksha. What's the path to moksha? We start with purifying our mind. Chitta Shuddhi, Chitta Naischalyam. Purifying my mind, gaining concentration and focus. Then, when I have understood the limitations of worldly pleasures, and I've grown my heart enough to not depend on the world for daily kicks and contentment, that takes a lot of courage, right? Yeah. But when I'm ready for that, then I will be committed to Shravana. to studying and understanding that I am the truth of contentment. So, Chitta Shuddhi, Chitta Naishalyam, Shravanam, then I may have doubts about this vision. So, I then, from Shravanam, have Mananam, where the process of removing my doubts, this this inquiry process where I remove all of my doubts about this vision. We'll see more about that today. So the first obstacle in Vedanta is ajnanam. I have ignorance of myself. So therefore, I need shravanam to remove that ignorance about myself. Then I may have samshaya. I have a doubt about this vision. You keep saying that we can be content by ourselves, but I can't even sit up in meditation for more than 10 minutes, right? I just don't feel content by myself. I find myself, when I'm by myself, I find myself doom scrolling, just scrolling and keep it scrolling because I need to fill my mind with something. So I have doubts about this vision. Those doubts are removed by manana. And then we have nididhyasanam, which removes what we call viparyaya. So that's the third obstacle. Viparyaya is what we call habitual error. That I have habits about taking myself to be limited that I remove through the process of nididhyasana. Why I'm saying all this is because this verse 3 covers shravanam, mananam, nididhyasana. This is the moksha package. So you can Zell me $401. I'll tell you how to get that moksha package. That's really cheap. So we saw vakyartascha vicharyatam. This is the process of shravanam. That the meaning of the Mahavakya should be reflected upon. I understand, what do we mean by the word tvam? What do we mean by the word tat? What does asi really mean? And what are the implications of that? In my life, if I truly understand that I, the Sakshi, am one with the truth of Ishvara, what are the implications of that? Huge. This takes us into the next one where we left off. Shruti Shiraf Paksha Samashriyatam. Samashriyatam, be resorted to. We should be resorted to. Lot Karmani. What should be resorted to? What's the object? Shruti Shiraf Paksha. A paksha means a view, or we can say the vision, but simply it means a view of what? Of Shruti. Shruti Shiraha. We saw this. Shruti Shiraha means the head of the Shruti, which means Vedanta. So may the final view of Vedanta be resorted to. When we say the final view, what we mean is what this word we use is tatparya. What is the final commitment of Vedanta? That should be resorted to. That's what we're trying to understand. This is important because we all study and we study so many things in Vedanta. Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira. Virat, Hiranyagarbha, Ishvara. We talk about Panchikaranam. Even if you don't know these things, know that they exist, that they're part of the syllabus. You study about these six enemies of the mind. There's so many different things, and I found that when we discuss, when I talk to people, we all have islands of understanding. You understand this one topic, and then you go to the next camp and you get this topic here. But how they relate to each other and what finally they're trying to point towards, we're not very clear. That's okay, right? It's not to blame ourselves, but we should we need to get a full understanding of that's why I'm being very systematic, that we get a full understanding so that we know where things get placed into. The final vision, the final conclusion, what we call the Tatparya Vedanta, we can say this in many ways. We can say that the final vision of Vedanta is what we call the Mahavakya, Tattvamasi. Or we'll say Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya, Jiva Brahmaivo Naparaha. That Brahma Satyam, the Jagat is Mithya. Another way of saying this is that everything is Ishvara and I am that Ishvara. That's the vision of Vedanta. Everything that is here is Ishvara. Oh, really? Yeah, yeah. You also are that Ishvara. It includes you. That is the final vision of Vedanta. Everything else that we talk about is in service of gaining that vision. So the question to ask yourself after a class is, why does this connect to this vision? How does this connect to this vision? And that everything is Ishvara and I am that Ishvara. When we talk about the six enemies of mind, how does that connect? It connects because I need to overcome my raga dvesha so that I can be able to see Ishvara. And only then will I be able to fully gain this knowledge that I am Ishvara. So it's a preparatory. But this final vision should be resorted to. This is the Shankaracharya doesn't take this for granted. In the Brahma Sutta, he has a whole section that he calls Tattu Samanvayat. There's a sutra in the Brahma Sutra that he talks about. He shows through logic and analysis how each of the Upanishads are pointing this out in different ways. They use different language, but they're all leading to this same vision. So this whole first line helps us understand what Vedanta is saying. This is what we call Pramanagata Shankar. It removes the doubt about what the Pramana is trying to tell us. But as I said, we might have doubts about what Vedanta is trying to tell us. You keep saying I'm limitless, but we can't even get Zoom to work half the time. Right? You keep saying that I'm limitless, but my back hurts while I'm listening, my head hurts, and half the time I fall asleep. Right? I'm very much limited. I know that. So then we come to Mananam, and that's told in the second line. Dustarkat suviramyatam. And then also the next one, Shruti tarkaha anusandhyatam. So dustarkat is one word, suviramyatam. Shruti Shruti mas Shruti Shruti mastarkaha, one word, anusandhyatam, separate word. So it says suviramyatam, may you withdraw. May you withdraw. May you withdraw from what? Dustarkat. False logic. May you withdraw from false logic and anusandhyatam. May you see or should be seen. What should be seen? Shruti mastarkaha. Logic that's in keeping with the Shruti. Logic that's in keeping with the Shruti. So may you withdraw from false logic and may you use, and may the logic in keeping with Shruti, that should be seen. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. So now there's this comparison between Dustarka and Shruti Mastarka. Dustarka, false logic, and logic that's keeping in line with Shruti. So now we have to understand why, so the purpose of logic in Vedanta. You've noticed by now that we use a good amount of logic, that we understand things through a series of logic, just like we talked about the knower of the pot, right? We saw this. The maker of the pot is the knower of the pot. The maker of the cloth is the knower of the cloth. The maker of everything is the knower of everything. Right? This is a series of logic that will give to show you the possibility of sarvajnaha. Gatakarta gatagnaha. Patakarta patagnaha. Sarvasya karta sarvagnaha. Right? So this is what we call Shruti Mastarka. That this is logic that's trying to show you clearly what Shruti, the Vedanta is trying to tell us. Vedanta is, how do we know that Ishvara is all knowledge? How do we know Ishvara is all knowledge? Because of the logic? No. We only know Ishvara is all knowledge because as a pramana, it tells us something that we can't know through science. It tells us something we can't know through any series of other brahmanas. What happened before the universe created? How are we supposed to know that? Can you perceive that through understanding the universe? No. Can you logic your way there? No. The only way we know that is by Veda showing us this. But to show that this is possible, we use logic. To satisfy your buddhi that look, this is possible. It's not illogical. It's not illogical, rather. It's not illogical, so we use logic to show that it's not illogical. But on the other side, then we feel pressure as modern people to prove everything through logic and science. And this is what we call dustarka, false logic. That we try to use other systems of knowledge to prove what the Veda is saying. The Veda we need not feel that pressure to prove the scientific basis of Veda. Because what it's revealing is a whole out of the scope of science. Science reveals through perception, through understanding things, and multi-step logic based on that perception. And so when we study even when we study Physics, for example, people try to use physics to understand the nature of the universe. Even physics has certain limitations which cannot reveal what we know about Ishvara. But that pressure to do that is what we call dustaka. Other dustaka is sometimes we have an agenda to fit other things we know. We fit Vedanta into other systems of what we know. So, for example, as someone who studies psychology, I found that other people who study psychology will try to fit everything in Vedanta and make it psychological, right? That we have a need for a parent. And so we've created this concept of God. And we are looking, right? There's all knowledgeable and all powerful because as children we were helpless. And so we've projected this perception and this image onto God. And that is why we have this concept of God in Vedanta, right? You see how we can make everything psychological. God was not created for our psychological needs. Ishvara helps with the psychological needs, but not, we shouldn't use we shouldn't try to fit Vedanta into what we know about everything else. Other thing, we have some funny logic, like there's in the Upanishads there's Bahusyam, that that Ishvara created the universe and became many. Why? Because he had a desire. Oh, really? So if Ishvara created, it means he had a desire, right? And if he had a desire, it means that he was lacking. He was incomplete, right? Because we learned in Vedanta that you only have a desire if you're incomplete. So Ishvara is incomplete. You can get there by logic. That's dustarkaha, because what we reveal about Ishvara is only known by the Veda. And Ishvara we know is all knowledgeable and all powerful, all capacity. So knowing what we know about in Vedanta, we use logic we use logic to remove any sense that this is illogical. But logic itself cannot prove what is said. We can talk more about this later. So, dustarkat suviramyatam, withdraw from that false logic. Shrutimatas tarko rasandiyatam. But we still do use logic in Vedanta, but it should be in keeping with Shruti. Very much we use a lot of logic. The next line, Brahmasmiti vibhavyatam. So now, this is where we enter into what we call nididhyasana. The process of mananam is removing any doubts that I have, but also any doubts raised by other schools of thought, right? So in traditional terms, Shankara will deal with people like Nyaya and Vaisheshika or Sankhya and Yoga, and he'll lay out their systems of thought and show how they're wrong. Because if there's one truth, we can't say, oh, everyone is here, we love everyone, and everyone's view is right. No, no, no. If there's one truth, we have to show you why that truth is the only truth. That's manana. And so even science, we take it as a purva-paksha at times, right? And we show how this is the truth. Now, we talk about nididhyasanam, the third line. Nididhyasanam is removing any of my viparyaya, habitual errors. That because of all of the samskaras that I've gained in this life, all of my experiences I've had in this life, but also all the lives before this, I have certain ways of taking myself. And so even though every day we come to class and you learn, I am Brahman, I am complete, I am whole, when you see something on Instagram that looks really nice, you want it, right? Or I was talking to someone and we were saying that, oh, words should be selectively used. We shouldn't use too many words. And they said, yeah, yeah, I do that. When I want to call my whole family, my spouse and my kids, I just use one word. I just say, idiots. And they all respond. Similarly, we're told, I am Brahman, I am complete. But when we're told I'm an idiot, oh, oh, that whole understanding is shaken. So it says that Brahma Asmi iti vibhavyatam. Vibhavyatam should be appreciated. Should be appreciated. Should be contemplated upon. What should be contemplated upon? Brahma Asmi. I am Brahma. This is only to be done after I've done Shravanam and I know what Brahman is. So this is not a positive psychology where you're, if I believe it, that's what I'll become, right? That if I just keep saying it, like I am Superman, I am Superman. There's a study that showed that even if you stand in a powerful posture, you will feel more powerful. If you put your hands on your hips and you raise your neck, you'll feel powerful. Similarly, is Brahman like that? If I just say I'm limitless, then I'll feel good about myself. No. So Shravanam is understanding really what we mean. Mananam, I'm removing all of my doubts about that. And Nididhyasanam, I'm bringing that to my mind over and over again so that I recondition my mind. I remove all of the habits that I make about myself, right? And so this is what we do in meditation. We call Vedantic meditation, Nididhyasana. Most meditation we do focuses on Ishvara. But when we go beyond that, Nididhyasana, Vedantic meditation, is bringing the teachings of Vedanta to your mind over and over and over again. So you would chant things like Purnoham, Purnoham, I am complete. I am complete. But that complete is come with this whole context of teaching that I really know that I am complete. Asangoham, asangoham. I am not connected to anything. Triptoham, triptoham. I am content. Satchidananda Swarupoham. This is this is when we say Shivoham, all those things, that's all Nididhyasana. And so I appreciate this over and over again. And another thing, the principle that we have to acknowledge is that even if we understand Vedanta in our conscious mind, there may be parts of our unconscious, parts of our mind that we're not aware of, that haven't been caught up to speed. What we'll say is that there's still little kids, parts of ourself that are stuck in a time and place. Our child self that is there, that cannot understand this Vedanta business or has not understood this Vedanta business. And so even though I'm have this conviction that I'm complete, I'm whole, and I'm limitless, still When someone gives me a wrong look or a bad vibe, I feel like, oh, what's wrong? I must have done something wrong, right? Because there's a kid who's worried about how people perceive me. That I still get really angry when people don't listen to me. It's because that in the unconscious mind, there's still unresolved, there's child parts of us that are stuck in a time and place with a certain level of understanding. So Nidhi Dhyasanam is also, we bring this teaching of our mind over and over again so that it can penetrate. And when the unconscious material comes up, we also learn to connect with our child parts, allow them to heal so this teaching can penetrate even deeper. So Brahmasmiti Vibhavyatam. Aharaha. It says that goes along with that. It says daily this should be appreciated. When we come to Nidhi Dhyasanam, this is not a 30-minute meditation. This is hours of your day. You're sitting in this teaching. You're reminding yourselves of the teaching of Vedanta. Now, again, as I said, that can be in meditation, a sitting meditation where I'm contemplating upon this, or it can look like a sort of walking meditation, where what I mean by walking meditation is that I bring the teaching of Vedanta to my mind over and over again. Even when I, even when my mind goes away from that, or I get angry or something, I bring it back to the teaching of Vedanta. I got angry because what? Unfulfilled desire. I have an unfulfilled desire because for a moment I took myself to be incomplete. Really, the truth of myself is that I'm complete and whole. And really, I'm not separate from this person who I got angry at. Purnoham, Purnoham. You just keep bringing this teaching back to your mind over and over again. And even if we're not there yet, still we can practice this of as Swaminathan Rama says that we don't need we're looking for self-knowledge, not shelf knowledge. The knowledge is not staying in the shelf. We bring it to our lives. So see this teaching throughout the day. Make moments in your calendar where I can, maybe I've studied a little bit in the morning, but can I reflect upon this teaching or sit with this teaching later on in the day? Can I make moments where I go on a walk and I remember what I was learned and how does this apply to my life? When we do our next gen young adult discussion groups, most of the questions are, how does this apply to your life? Right? Whatever we've learned, how does this apply to your life? And how does this apply to your life? Because we have to take it from the abstract to what are the implications for me and how am I going to change my vision? So, Brahmasmiti vibhavyatam aharaha. Then, garvaf parityajyatam. Garvaf parityajyatam. Let's go to the next one. We'll come back to garvaf parityajyatam. Dehe asmin matihi, sorry, matihi, dehe aham matihi ujjatam. Ujjatam should be given up. What should be given up? Aham dehe iti matihi. That I am this body. The I sense in this body, that should be given up. This is also the process of nididhyasana, that we are so identified with this body. So much so that when I ask you, tell me about yourself, you tell me your resume, right? Your biodata. You give me every information. This is where I live. This is what I do. These are the social networks that I move in. Because this is who I am. And so we become the there's a whole trillion-dollar industry of beauty and cosmetics based on knowing that you think you're the body. And so we're going to instill ideas that you're not enough. You see, you can look more beautiful. You can, if you have this anti-aging serum. The best anti-aging serum is know that you never have had to age to begin with. That's what we're saying in Vedanta. That dehe ham matihi ujjata. We give up that idea that I'm this body. How do we do that? That same concept of drigdrishya viveka that we were looking at yesterday. I know that this body is an object of my awareness. It's drishya, it's known. I'm aware of it. If I'm aware of this, there is an awarer, there is a subject who is aware of. If there's a subject and this is an object, that means I'm not this body. So I don't need to over-identify and become obsessed with this body. Because this is, again, this is what we're being taught. Constantly improving your body and what we call biohacks, right? Constantly trying to get the right vitamins, go to the gym and do the right exercise, trying to, go at a walk at 5 a.m. because the sunrise will make you happier. I mean, there's truth to these things. There's scientific evidence, but we have to see, am I doing this because I'm trying to improve who I am? Then there's identification. A practical way of dealing this with that Swamiji has already told us. This body is like a hotel room. Do we abuse the hotel room? No. You don't trash well, some people do trash the hotel room.
Please don't do that.
Please don't do that. You may trash the hotel. Okay, how about this is like your car. Your car. You'll say, Shivam, I trash my car also. I eat and there's wrappers everywhere and there's okay, but you relatively, if you want your car to run well, you treat it well. You get the oil changes in time. You keep it clean. You drive relatively safe. But we become over-identified that if there's a scratch on the car, imagine I'm gonna go outside and I'm gonna get a key and I'm gonna go right across your car. Like, oh, you feel it in your heart, right? It's like, oh, because we become over-identified. So there's a problem with the car, there's a problem with me. It's funny, when my father-in-law has a big SUV, and when we go into a garage, there's a height limit. And you notice, oh, are we gonna fit? And what does everyone do? They duck their head. You duck your head because you become identified with the car. It's gonna hit. We're gonna. This identification is it's interesting. So I drop this notion that I'm the body. I spend time understanding that I am the Sakshi of all of this. This is what we also do in meditation in Nididhyasana, that this ingrained notions that I am this much, I work on that. We treat this body well, we take care of it, but we don't over-identify. As I was saying, the worst thing you can do if someone is drowning is jump in the water with them. You cannot take care of your body well if you're over-identified. Is that interesting? Because you won't get a holistic picture of your body. You'll become obsessed with a certain area according to your desires. It's when we actually have distance and we see our body in whole that we can take care of our body well. That I get a holistic view of my body. That I'm going to exercise. I'm going to exercise 3 to 4 times a week. Good. 30 minutes a day at least. Doesn't need to be 2, 3 hours. No one's doing 2, 3 hours, but then I eat well. We'll see that food is a medicine. Deheham mati uchyatam. Let's come back. Garvav parityajyatam. Parityajyatam, we know, tyaj dhatu, give up. Parityaj, give up completely. What should we give up completely? Garvaha. Garvaha means pride, arrogance, pride. Pride should be given up. Because what is pride? Pride is exactly, it's identification to an unhealthy degree, right? I'm using the word unhealthy. When you're prideful, you don't feel it's unhealthy though. It's an over-identification. That when you meet me, I know such people that if you don't call them Dr. So-and-so, they're offended. When you send a card, if you write Mr. or Mrs., no, please, doctors. It's very important because that's where my pride is. When we have such pride, what's the problem with that? We should have certain amount of pride. You need to have some, paradoxically, you need to have some ego strength to get rid of your ego. You need to have some confidence in yourself to then give this all up. So depending on your stage of life, if you're relatively young, you need to live life and have confidence in what you do. But when we become over-identified with this confidence or this pride, what happens is we keep, the nididhyasanam becomes, we keep reiterating, we keep strengthening the idea that this is who I am. We are strengthening the concept that this is who I am. These roles that I play, I am a doctor. What were you before you became a doctor? A son. I didn't exist. No, you existed. Means that's not who you are because you existed before the identity was there. All of these identities, even if I'm a father, we become obsessed with our children. I'm entering into that world. I get that. But the more we spend time thinking about these identities and becoming strengthening these identities and talking to people about this is who I am and this is we strengthening the wrong notions. If people ask you, you tell them who you are, you tell them your roles, that's fine. But it's not that we take them so seriously. This is what Puja Swamiji emphasized the idea of role playing. Just like in Arshavidya, we would do plays on stage. And for one of the plays, I was a king. Chhatrapati Shivaji. That's really I was Shivaji. I was the king. And I walked out there and I had the crown and I walked and I was so confident. I had my chin up and I walked through. The next play, what was I? Beggar. Savitri Auntie made sure did all the roles. We did all of the roles, used all of the costumes. Probably in the same play, I played two things. There was never enough kids, also. When I was the king, when I went backstage, did I say, go bring me my shoes? Where is my umbrella? I can't walk outside in the sun. No, no, no. The role stays with the role. The actor is different than the role. The problem is that we have what we call a spiritual hangover. We carry our roles more than where they should belong. I'm a lawyer at work and I come home and I argue with everyone because that's what I'm used to. I'm used to I, I really know someone like this, that they just have a debating mind. And so when they come home, they can't stop debating. Doesn't matter. Oh, we don't have the groceries. We have enough groceries. I know we have enough groceries. This is how it is. Just because they have to debate. The analyst can't let go of the analysis at home. The therapist can't turn off the therapist. And the problem it becomes is then we are not appropriately in our dharma. If I'm a manager at work and I come home and I'm still managing, that's not going to be a healthy household. We allow people to be where they are instead of micromanaging everyone and telling them what we should be doing. And so I'm talking about this pride because pride and this over-identification with a role go hand in hand. But just as I walk off stage and I let go of the role, similarly, we have to know that even though I am a Vedanta student, I'm a therapist, I'm a United States citizen, I am a teacher, all of these things, I know that really I'm not any of those things. Those things are there. I'm a teacher when a student is sitting there. Someone asked Swamiji, are you a Sadguru? And he said, I'm a guru only when there's a shishya, only when there's a student. There's no student, I'm not a guru. I'm not teaching. And so we have to develop that inner space between who we really are and who we take ourselves to be. Aharaha, garvaf parityajata. The last line in this. Buddha janaihi vadaf parityajatam. We saw this word parityajatam a few times. Parityajatam, what?
Give up.
Give up. Should be given up. What should be given up? Buddha janaihi vadaha. What this means is argument with wise people. Buddha Janaihi, with wise people. Vada literally means just talking, but here we have to give the sense of argument. Arguing with the wise people should be giving. Now, I don't think many of us have this problem. We're not trying to argue, but you'll see as we all continue on this path, you'll notice that some people ask questions because they're interested, and some people ask questions to test the teacher. I know, but I should know that you know. And so they're trying to test the teacher. And then, oh, I have a follow-up, but this physicist says this, and this person says this, and this person, and they try to show how much they know. That's not our role. When the guru is there, we're there to learn. And so we ask questions with a sense of curiosity, even if we're not sure about what they said. Just like Arjuna said, Mohesi Eva, it's I understood it this way, but maybe my understanding is wrong. Please teach me, right? You say in your own language, but you get the idea, right? It's never that we even have humility in how we ask questions. This discipline in asking questions is something we should all develop. That also the question shouldn't be a whole page long. Get to the point. I'm not just observe some things over some time, right? Like get to the point and we ask with a sense of humility. But the point is argument with the wise. That we're not here to show how much we know. We saw praniprata, that we're here to be humble. We're here to be at the feet in the symbolic sense that when the teacher knows that there's room in our cup, they will fill it. When the teacher knows that there's room in our cup, they'll fill it. But if you say, my cup is full and here's what I have, they'll say, okay, tathastu, my namaskar to you. They won't argue back with you. They'll just give you, you know, when the teacher's ready for you to go, when they start getting the prasad ready. They start reaching, and then you should know that it's time to go. You've been here for a long time. So when you start getting arguing or showing, oh, it must be this way because, and you weren't right in this, and I know this argument, and this teacher said this, we'll give you prasad. You continue on. That's okay. Your cup is full. You've learned everything then. Okay, good. And not in a sense of criticism, but the sense that you're not in the mindsets to receive, and this teaching is valuable. So we don't want to use it when it's not going to be heard. Buddha Janehi Vada Parityajyata. We'll go to the next shloka. I just chanted at least. Shudvyadishcha chikitsyataam pratidinam. Bhikshaushadam bhujyatam. Svatvannam natu yachatam vidivashat. Praptena santushyatam. Shitoshnadivishahyatam natu vritha. Shitoshnadivishahyatam natu vritha. Vakyam samucharyatam. Modasinamabhipsyatam janakripa. Naishturyamutssrijyatam. Okay. So we've landed where Swamiji kept mentioning. Should vyadihi chikitsatam pratidinam bhikshoshadam bhujyadam. So we'll get the sense here. We won't go word by word because we don't have much time. But the sense is that our hunger is like a disease. Our hunger is vyadi, is a disease. And what's the medicine for that hunger? Bhiksha. The bhiksha is the oshadam, the medicine to this hunger. So here we come back to, we saw Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, we come back to some principles of daily living that will help us be more conducive to this pursuit. Hunger is a disease and it should be cured by food as medicine. So food is not for our pleasure. That's what it's emphasizing. That's a very harsh, it's a harsh reality. But food is to cure the disease of hunger. We have to see food being medicine. One-fourth of our stomach is filled with what? Solid foods. Another quarter is filled with what? Water.
You said
Fluids. Half fluids, one quarter food, and the rest?
That's too much. That's too little.
Half food, one quarter liquids, and one quarter ucharanartham. That's what it is. I was just testing. I also forgot. Half is food, one quarter liquids, and one quarter air. Even when you're filling your washing machine, you can't stuff the thing. The things won't wash. Right? You have to leave some room for air. And similarly, when we eat, a principle that we have is that when you feel like you can have one more helping, when you're getting pretty full, but you feel like you can have one more helping, that's when you stop. This is a bad week for this exercise. Because I know, because as soon as you're full, my sweet mother comes around and gives you one more. So I told her, me and you are fighting each other this week. As soon as we teach, the opposite, they're learning in the dining hall. So, whose team are you on? Your own team. Your own team. That we need to eat well to be well. We need to be well so we can think and study well. We need to think and study well so that we can be with this teaching. Sattva, the quality of the mind that is conducive to this teaching, is directly connected to what we eat and consume. And so you wonder, why am I sleeping in meditation? Why can't I think very clearly? Part of it is because we haven't developed the capacity, but part of it is because we're abusing our bodies. And so our body is trying to catch up. It's resting. It's lethargic. It's not able to focus in class because we're eating stuff that's going to take us away from this. So we start this next week. No, we can practice this one very soon. We'll finish with our prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Well, Arti.
Please, Ravi and Shubha here.
Yeah, beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah, the priest is here, so.